This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
Everybody to the X-Cast. As ever, the truth is in here. This is our special Fight the Future Minute podcast series that you're listening to. I'm your host, Carl Sweeney, leading you through another minute of the film. We're going through the X-Files feature film, Fight the Future, 1 minute at a time, until we get to the end of the film, or until we, until we give up beforehand, which I'm sure won't happen, because we're all highly excited to do this, and I'm joined for this episode by Luke Winch again. Hi, Luke.
Hello, Carl. I'm looking forward to our final minute together.
Yeah, this minute begins at the 10-minute mark with Miles Cooley continuing to ask about his men, and it ends at 10 minutes 59 seconds with... I guess it's kind of frustrating, Luke, isn't it, in some senses, because we almost get to see Mulder and Scully, but not quite, do we?
No, yeah, it is a little sad, but hey ho.
I mean, would you have been feeling that on first viewing of the film? Because we're getting up to the 11-minute mark before we see them. It's quite a long time, isn't it? I guess it's like a really long extended teaser. It kind of fits with the fact that they're now doing a 2-hour film in some ways. But yeah, would you have been getting kind of slightly impatient watching this film for the first time?
I don't think impatient because I like this extended cold open, as it were, and because Fight the Future is an X-Files episode expanded multifacetedly. Yeah. You can kind of treat this 11 minutes as an 11-minute cold open, so it's setting up everything that we know that Mulder and Scully is going to start investigating. So, it puts a big smile on your face when they're first on the big screen.
Yeah, I think it's jumped out at me more on this, doing these podcasts, just the fact that Tony and Sarah and I spent a long time talking about that cave, in the prehistoric cave, and now we've been going through this North Texan present day scene and stuff. So yeah, I think it would be nice for the listeners as well to hear a bit about Mulder and Scully next time out, I guess. All right, where would you like to start with this minute then? Like, what struck you on rewatch?
I like this bit. I like the kind of dramaticness of all these white big rigs coming in and the helicopters taking off, and Mark Snow's music. He really gets to he really gets to utilise the orchestra now, and the music's almost like this kind of John Williams-esque Indiana Jones or E.T., all the vehicles coming in and all the government people are setting up their camps and stuff. It's dramatic and exciting and big, and it's something that they never really had a chance to do on TV, so it's good to see.
Yeah, and that's one of the other interesting things about doing these podcasts is we sort of maybe notice a bit more some of the ways they were definitely trying to expand the X-Files canvas, In terms of this scene in particular, Rob Bowman has talked about there not actually being a great deal of usable footage from the sequence that they could put up on screen. I think it was one of those things where they just didn't have enough time to do it in the way he might have liked to have done it. And again, like we said earlier, on an earlier minute, you've got a lot of vehicles here coming in and out. So actually it's probably quite difficult to marshal that stuff kind of logistically. So he said, given that they didn't have enough time, that they had those issues, the way he decided to do it was to do it almost documentary style.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see what he means, because you have things like handheld camera movements and stuff, and some of these shots, I think it was almost like they were being done on the fly. I mean, did you notice that, and did you feel, if you did notice it, did it seem like rushed or anything?
It didn't particularly seem rushed, but now you've mentioned how Bowman kind of went for this documentary feel, it kind of makes sense to me now. And the kind of handheld camera and almost like Bourne-esque quick cut edit type thing is quite present. But I mean, I think that Rob Bowman was the best and probably only choice to do this film, because I think out of all the directors of the X-Files, his ability to give us a cinematic experience on the small screen and to handle action, I think, more competently than a lot of the other directors. So he was the only choice, really, and I think he did a really good job of Fight the Future.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I think of the X-Files directors, I think Kim Manners is my favourite, because I think that's personal taste in the sense that he seemed to major more in your grisly horror tales, and Bowman is also great, but kind of like you alluded to, he kind of majored in the more propulsive stuff, didn't he? Like Pusher and Drive or whatever it may be. So he very much works well in that vein, doesn't he? And I suppose that given the type of story this is, which in a lot of ways it becomes this kind of cross-country adventure, doesn't it? You know, I think you're right. He probably is the best choice to do that kind of tale, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely, I think.
And to be fair, he's talked a bit about, well, the way he tells it. This is on the commentary track, I think. One of the commentary tracks, there are actually two for the film. I don't know if everybody knows that, but because there's an extended cut and a theatrical cut, there's a commentary from back in the day, and there's one that was recorded a few years later. But on one of them, he talks about how he spoke to Chris Carter from season 2 onwards, is what he says, about the X-Files cinematic potential. You know, that they could go up on the big screen one day. And he was sort of pleased to see that finally come to fruition and to get the gig, of course. And he also talks a bit about how in preparation he would watch Lawrence of Arabia twice a month. And then also during production, I think. I don't know if you've seen that film, Luke, but can you sort of see why he would make that comparison?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's been a few years, but I've watched it quite a few times. And I think, that, yeah, if you're wanting to capture this epic vista and have these big shots, I think that is definitely the film to kind of learn from.
Yeah, because it's one of those things that I don't think you're going to get the full experience of watching Lawrence of Arabia if you watch it on your mobile phone or anything. You know,
no.
There are things in there like Omar Sharif turning up where he slowly approaches the camera and stuff. You sort of need the big screen if you can, you know. And like here, like Carter points out on the commentary that during some of those shots of the tanker truck that we see, I didn't even notice this until he pointed it out, but there's one shot where you see a helicopter flying away. I think it's in the top right corner of the screen. So it kind of speaks to that cinematicness, I think, like that level of detail that may not have made it onto the TV screen. But I think they were very conscious here, weren't they, to make it something different too, and I don't want to say more than, because I mean, I don't want to put TV down, but yeah, different to the TV show in some respects.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that TV has come such a long way now since the X-Files, and when you've got kind of the financial backing of Amazon or HBO, you're going to get a big cinema experience on your TV screen. But I think back then, 1998, when it was made, TV was not as big as it is now. So I think trying to get as much as you can on screen, like you said, with the helicopter flying over, with the trucks coming in, is very much a celebration of transitioning the X-Files.
Yeah, and it's very much, I think, the way people like Chris Carter might have thought at the time. Like, at that time, at that moment in history, they may well have thought that transition into films was a step up, you know. Even though, like, those of us who, like, love the TV series to bits might not really see it that way. But I think for somebody in the industry, that probably might have been the lines they were thinking on, you know.
Mm.
I suppose it's this minute, isn't it, where Braunschweig makes the phone call at one point. Like, I don't know, who did you assume he was talking to? Like, do you think he's on the phone to the smoking man? And he also says the thing about, like, it's interesting, isn't it? It's like the impossible scenario that we never planned for. We better start coming up with a plan, or words to that effect. I don't know. Did you find it a bit B-movie, that kind of dialogue, or did you like it? or both? A
bit of both. I mean, I kind of assuming that he's talking to a member of the syndicate. I don't know if it was, specifically the smoking man. Yeah, the receptionist, or the guy who answers the phone with the twirly moustache and little beard. But yeah, it is quite it's quite hammy, isn't it? But also, I was thinking, okay, the impossible scenario is the black oil has infected this kid, but we've had experience of this, or they've had experience of this already through the X-Files. So I'm wondering, what is the impossible scenario? Because if you've watched the X-Files previously, you know that they've had quite extensive experience tackling or dealing with the black oil.
Yeah, so why is this any different, kind of thing? Yeah, I don't know the answer, to be honest. Because what he's basing that on is the very quick glimpse of the kid on the, what was it, the bubble litter.
Yeah, bubble litter.
That seems to have been that seems to have been what has prompted him to say that, doesn't he? But again, like you say, we've seen things like Piper Maru, Apocrypha, Tunguska, Terma, and it seems like he hasn't really seen enough to know that this is a different type of black oil, or necessarily. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your sense?
At this point, do they know that the black oil is an incubator for a different species, or is that discovered later, or have they got that knowledge already? Because if they do know that, then maybe this particular strain of the black oil is something that they haven't made a contingency for. Maybe.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to throw open this discussion to the listeners, because I think that emerges through the film, doesn't it? But it's not clear to me if Braunschweig knows that at this point. So yeah, if somebody else knows a way to kind of reconcile that, let us know, I guess. I mean, I was just thinking about like the use of, like, you get this, it's like a black helicopter, isn't it, that comes in. It's not even this minute, but in the previous minute, I think. And that's kind of interesting. I didn't realise how many helicopters there were in the film, because of course this minute ends with the helicopter at the location Mulder and Scully are at, doesn't it?
That's right.
But I guess, like, what does black helicopter scream out to you? Like, for some people, it has a particular kind of resonance, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I immediately kind of went Black Ops. Yeah. Unmarked black helicopter could be kind of secret military, or Black Ops. It kind of screams the Syndicate, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's this thing where, I suppose at this point in time as well, in the 90s, that they were said to be able to do all sorts of things that, like, real helicopters or ordinary helicopters couldn't do. They'd be able to fly silently and stuff like that, or without pilots. And I don't know the full history of the kind of conspiracy theories, but those are the kind of things I've heard. And also, it's used as kind of a way to put people down, from what I can gather. So, just looking at the Wikipedia page, and it's got a few instances of this. So, for instance, a Slate article about basketball refereeing said, "In the wake of this scandal, every game will be in question, and not only by fans disposed to seeing black helicopters outside the arena." So that kind of thing, where it's kind of to put people down who are interested in this kind of subject matter, I suppose.
Yeah.
And also, Vice President Joe Biden in 2013 gave a speech to do with gun control, I think, and he said, "The black helicopter crowd is really upset. It's kind of scary, man." Well, I'm sure he didn't say it like that, but I mean, what do you think about that? Like, black helicopters as kind of shorthand for conspiracy theorists, somebody not to be taken seriously, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it may have have stemmed or evolved from the Men in Black, as it were. You know, who pull up in unmarked black cars and intimidate you and silence you. So maybe it's a kind of offshoot of that kind of psychological, like I said, putting these people down and also making their claims as bogus, as it were, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do, yeah. And in terms of, like, fictional depictions of black helicopters, like, the X-Files is listed on Wikipedia as one of the main ones. Also things like Escape from New York, the film from 1981, for instance. But they mention Fight the Future, that because the black helicopters are important later, don't they? They chase Mulder and Scully. It's that stuff with the facility that houses the bees, isn't it, I think?
That's right, yeah.
So it becomes important later on. And the unmarked black helicopters also play a key role in the finale episodes of season 2 and 9 of the TV series. So I think that must be to do with Anasazi. That's how the smoking man gets around in that episode, isn't it? And then in season 9, that's where they come to kind of take him out, I think.
That's right, yeah. I mean, I'd like the fact, I think it's a nice kind of subtext kind of hint when Braunschweig steps out of the black helicopter, as the smoking man did in Anasazi. You can kind of get that subconscious connection, as it were.
All right, Luke. So I think that about wraps us up for this particular minute. Thanks very much for joining me. So we've done these 5, haven't we? So yeah, it's been good fun today.
Yeah, it's been really good fun. Thank you.
Nice. And you'll be back later in this project, won't you? You'll be talking with Tony, is that right?
I will be talking with Tony many, many minutes down the line. I think we have minutes 64 65 to 70, I believe. But somewhere around there.
So yeah, stay tuned, listeners. Luke will be back. Yeah, where can people find you in the interim period, though? Because people might want to check you out and find out what you're up to. And you have other podcasting and stuff, of course, which is like really exciting.
Yeah, really exciting. It's kind of launched as we're recording now. It'll be well into the first season. So it's a podcast about the TV series Fringe. It's called Observing the Pattern. And you can find us on Twitter at the OTP Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook under Observing the Pattern. You can also find me personally on Twitter at Luke_Winch. I generally talk science and kind of TV geekiness.
Perfect. Science and TV geekiness, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Cheers, Luke. Listeners, minute 12 is around the corner, so I hope you join us again for that. There'll be a new host in the chair for that minute. But yeah, you don't have to wait too much longer to hear about Mulder and Scully, which is good. In the meantime, what you could do is find the Xcast in all the usual places, on Facebook and on Twitter, at the X_cast on Twitter, X-Files Basement, the Xcast podcast fan group on Facebook. So until our next minute, listeners, remember, as always, trust no one.
Previously on the We Made This Network. Cinemortuary.
So bad acting all round.
Yes.
It's probably something that's going to happen over and over again in this film. I think the next scene is where we're introduced to dickhead older lads. Is that right?
No, we've just got a quick bit with Dad as well.
Oh, God, do we have to? Go on, then. Dad's fucking useless as well.
We Buy Records.
One of our listeners, they were walking past a charity shop where they saw someone had left records. And not just a few records, 6 bags of records.
Oh, shit.
So they eyeballed these records and thought, it's a bank holiday. It's Sunday today.
So let me guess, they thought it would be only right for me to prevent them getting nicked by somebody by me nicking them.
Correct.
Observing the Pattern, a Fringe podcast.
No, I was just going to say that, I can't remember how people thought about it when the series first started, but I really like Anator, and I think she gets better and better as the series goes on. And I felt like here, I thought you got to see a few different sides of Olivia, so that's what I liked, especially about this first sequence,
Yeah, so I mentioned this to Tony in the primer. She's one of my favourite characters, or she is my favourite character, I think, in Fringe, and mainly because when you first see her, you don't know necessarily that she's the main star.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.